And I'll just keep my pedals turning, keep my body warmed up, and get ready for a little spin around New York. Louis arrived, a few others. Waiting for Chris Lowe, if I can see Chris come in, and also Lauren Detroit. She should be making her appearance as well. So just under 3 minutes. Everyone that was out riding should have had a little pop-up note to say they'll be joining the ride if they choose to. And then it will be along. Jacintha's in Canada, so not sure why she's having trouble logging in. It'll be Daniel and his streaming efforts taking up all their bandwidth. That's what it will be. 2 minutes to go. Just need to adjust my fan slightly. I have my fan adjustment stick. That's better.
Right on. Right on. Right on. Right on. Right on. Right on.
So we're off. And you can see all the yellow dots on the top right hand corner show that everybody's together. There's one just off the back at the moment, which could be a technical. We're not going that fast, so we'll wait for those to catch up if they can. And you can see a few going off the front already. This happens with a slower ride, but I shall mostly be spending my time around about this speed, talking everybody through it. lovely group sitting here, just a few off the back. We won't be increasing the pace anytime soon. So you can see here again, it's nice, lovely group, apart from that one odd yellow dot just off the front, and then everyone at the back's closing up nicely. There's a few that have been dragged out. Do remember the draft effect. If you are riding solo off the back, you will need to put in a little more effort to catch up with everybody. Now would be a great time with the hill. So I'm ticking over around about 2. And there's Lauren. And then back to me. You can see as it flattens out, you need to pick things up a bit, otherwise the power drops, and then when the incline comes back, you'll see up ahead I need to back right off again, otherwise my watch will go right up. So a lot easier to spin a lower gear when you're trying to keep the pace down. So there's a little cycling competition that we've got going on in Team Vegan, where you have to ride a TT bike as quickly as you can around the circuit, and then post your times in relation to all the other vegan riders. Not something I've done because it's too much like hard work for me. But this is all good. Riding steady. There's a plan to stop TT bikes being included in the social rides because they do break up the draft a little bit. Now on a hilly course like this, the draft doesn't really matter. Because you're going so slow anyway, you're not really being pulled along by anybody around you. So obviously watts per kilogram does vary for everybody depending on their weight. You can see here I'm exactly on, oh no, it's just popped up to 2.2 as the incline increases. It's just a case of keeping that number in the top left around 130, 135, and that keeps everybody together. So we've just got a little way to go up to the KOM loop and then back around. What I also remember is that 2 watts per kilogram, whilst it's quite easy for me to achieve and obviously exceed, it's not that easy for every rider that's joined us. So they came expecting a ride of between 1.6 and 1.9. 2 is okay while we're going uphill, but it will need to be a lot less on the flatter bits of the course, and that's the way everybody stays together. Everybody at the front knows they've gone off the front, so it's not difficult for them to slow down, to freewheel and to come back closer to me near the back. It's a lot easier for somebody to freewheel than it is for somebody off the back to go faster. If they're off the back, it's because they're already going as fast as they can. One would imagine anyway. So you can see here at 14%, it's very easy to push the bigger watts, but it's also easy enough to watch what's happening on the screen and keep your bike doing what it's supposed to do. This is what leading's all about. Only problem is, comma, when you make it, you have to eat it. So I use my power-ups pretty much straight away. That's the circle in the top left hand corner, counting down now. The drafting boost will stop me from losing the wheel of the guy in front a little bit more easily. But we still just tickle down, maintain the pace, see who groups up at the bottom. So yeah, all grouping up. Apart from the guy sprinting off the front there, not sure what he's doing. Nice little group around me. Well done. So you can see on Zwift they do only show us the riders that are in our group, which was something they've always done. Used to be you had to prove that you could have a decent amount of riders to make it worth doing. Like for 20 or 30 it wasn't something they would normally entertain, but for over 100, which we regularly get, you'd be able to select, just view your own riders during a ride. They've now extended that to meetups, which is an interesting thing. That's why you kind of make an impromptu get together by just inviting your friends, but they have extended the numbers there to get up to 100, so that's possibly where that's happened. So again, there's a drafting power up. I'll have a quick drink while we're here on a slight downhill. Yeah, that's lovely. That's a really good grouping. Nice regroup. Mostly back together. There'll always be a few missing, some that don't want to slow down, and others that just couldn't either catch up or that were dropped on the downhill. With the way the draft works, if you're a lighter rider and you're at the back and you miss the draft on a downhill, really difficult to keep up with that group of riders in front of you. I've done some downhill races, and if you miss it, you don't stand a chance. Just the way the race dynamics work, the game dynamics, the way they calculate the speeds, I don't really understand the draft and how realistic it is. Some people tell me you get carried along in a really sort of exaggerated way, but other people that ride in big groups say you can actually be carried a lot more easily in real life, because you get shielded on the left and the right by other riders, and you create that little pocket of very little wind resistance, apart from the sort of 6 or 7 guys at the front, and that's what they try to emulate obviously on here. This is a really good regroup. So it's worth saying it's a great regroup. There will be a few that got lost, but that's a much bigger group than I had, probably 3 times the amount of people I've got now with me than I had on that downhill. So that's a definite regroup.
Right on.
So there's a ride on. And further back, that's Annabella. And there's Louise. I can give Louise a ride on. She's just gone past me. Good. It's nice.
Right on. Right on. Nice.
So if you press various F keys while you're riding, you obviously get the
Right on.
vocals
Nice.
that are built into the game. There's a nice one on F2 as well. If you press F2, your avatar waves at the person that you're riding next to. It's like this. So I always think that's a good one. The safety bike doesn't have that feature, unfortunately. Don't know why. Here we go. Somebody just did that back to me. Somebody knew where it was. Superb. And the red polka dot gloves are the ones that you win for going up the Zwift. If you get awarded gloves, that's always quite an achievement. So I tend to wear mine. So you can see here, I've just edged slightly to the front on that short climb, in with everybody here, and then I can bring them back with me. So if they don't ride off past me too far, we'll bring them back in.
Ride on.
So you can see I don't take my eyes off the screen very much when I'm riding, just to keep an eye on my watts, to keep my eye on everyone's position, and also to just check if any comments come up rather than glued to my phone. So you can see here as it goes downhill, I can just turn the pedals a little bit quicker, like you maybe would in real life, and then the relative effort goes back up. You can see though, the problem with me doing that, immediately goes back up to 160 when the incline increases, so I tend not to push even on the downhills. It's just a bit too tricky to judge really. So you can see there's a little group there just at the top of the mini map, a little bit ahead of us, just going off the top of the screen. I could soon chase them down, but not something I do on this ride. They know where the beacon is, they can check on the mini map just as easily as I can. So that's a great group all back together now. Really, really good. You can see there just a couple of flyers. Everybody pretty much on this screen here. So as ride leader I get to tap on a little circle on my companion app, and that gives a ride on to 5 close riders to me. So if I tap on the screen here, 5 little blue thumbs turn up on the screen and drop into people's pockets. That's just a little bit of encouragement for riders that Zwift gives. It's always fun to receive one, and it's nice to give them out, and the companion app makes it quite easy. If you're free riding, you get the little circle that's around the arrow, and that's the thing that shows you that the multiple ride-ons is available. You can see there they've come up, and now they all there are on the screen. So I try to give a ride-on to everybody on the ride, but I know I don't always. As I've said before, I've got plenty to do, but this is awesome. You can see that one single dot off the top. We'll soon catch them back up really without even trying, because we get the benefit of the draft and they don't. So we're just travelling a few extra kilometres an hour than they are. So you can see there, without really trying, I'm up to 2.4, but I'll just dial it back a bit and cruise up around about 2. Chris Lowe, there he is. Found you, Chris. There we are. So Lauren's logged out. But she did say thanks for the ride. Just a lot tougher than she thought it would be. Zwift, if you're new to it, it's not easy. and this is where the name is a little bit of a misnomer. We realised that for some people, it's just 2 watts per kilogram. It's an effort. Plus, with a trainer, turbo trainer, if you're not used to training, there's no freewheeling. When you do get a downhill stretch, you can't just stop pedalling. You kind of can. Your avatar slows down what I would consider to be disproportionately. So when you're trying to maintain the pace of a group ride like this and stay with a collection of people, even if it's only half a dozen, then it's very wearing, or it certainly can be. There's Daniel, just popped in the bottom of the screen. Annabella behind him. Take a few screenshots for the ride report. I'm still at 2 watts per kilo. Looking good. 37 minutes in. I think Lauren may have actually used up her miles. She had a short ride earlier to check she was okay, and then joined in with this one. So somebody stationary up ahead, or maybe just waiting for us to ride past, and then they'll catch back on. It can be very difficult just riding slow, especially if it's not your usual pace, and I can understand that when people go off the front, especially on the climbs. If you don't have low enough gears, which a lot of road bikes obviously won't have, mine's a triple, so it's got touring gears. It's got a 29 tooth chainring on the front, as well as the other two, so it makes my gearing a lot lower. I think my lowest gear is 29-25. So you can see here I'm spinning quite quickly and still only producing 140 watts, at least on the flat. You see there it picks back up again once we hit the slope. So I can just turn the pedals more slowly and make sure I don't go too fast. I'm quite near the back of the main group anyway. So you see there, that's all my gears gone. I don't have a lower gear to use, but I could certainly spin this gear up to around about 95 to 100 RPM rather than the 63 I'm doing at the moment. And that obviously would just increase my speed relative to the speed of my pedals. Still fairly well in touch, people. So that's nice. Again, we seem to have brought it, just eased it back together just before the banner. Several people waiting. So yeah, lots of PRs then, and that's really just because we don't ride the route very often. That's a PR based on the last time we did it, which was quite slow. So just with a slight increase maybe towards the top, it gave us all a load of PRs, which is really, really good. That's a personal record of PR. You can see here, flying down, nicely grouped. I'm happy in there. 88 watts, 81 kilometers an hour. Yeah, there's no problem. They say speeds on Zwift are slightly inflated, and I have to agree. Still, it's worth this though. Back onto the tarmac from the Sky Roads. Zwift have named them Sky Roads. There's obviously no real steep hills in Central Park in New York. I wonder how true the rollers are, because it seems quite hilly, and I thought New York was actually quite flat, so not 100% sure about those, but it all adds to the game, and it is only a game. It's not actually a riding sim. Loads more PRs.
Ride on!
Yeah, it's quite a good sprint because you get the cool down from the downhill, and then that allows you to push through without being fatigued. again. You can see there most of the yellow dots all together. One lone rider off the front. Always get it. No idea why. Oh look, 2 lone riders. There they are. But we'll gradually sweep them up. And then just a few off the back that maybe got dropped on the descent. As I said, if you're not in a blob on the descent, which I obviously was, you could see with very little effort I was doing 80 kilometres an hour. I wouldn't have maintained that pace on my own. I might have been able to push it, but it certainly wouldn't have been a nice easy descent. And after nearly an hour on the bike, for some people, they don't have the legs. I think that's maybe Louise's concern. She doesn't really want to go up to the top again. I don't think we will make it to the top. There's that cheeky 10%. The steepest part of the park perimeter loop, this one. So I don't always do this, but I will just check on Zwift power to find out what my average has been. You can't do it, I don't think, before 30 minutes because the data hasn't been uploaded. But if you go to Zwift power, click on results, find the ride, and then click on live. That gives us all the live readings for everybody, and I'm currently at 1.8 watts per kilogram, it says on that screen. The ride is advertised at between 1.7 and 1.9, so I don't think we can have any complaints about 1.8. Absolutely superb. Honestly, after this amount of time, this distance on a course this hilly, to get everybody into this position is absolutely incredible. It's really, really good.
like toast.
know I've said it a few times, but to be this blobbed, to have this many riders in such a small space after an hour in New York, it's really, really good. You can just see everybody there. Slight group, slight split, just going around the bend now to the right, and we're in this little group here, but everyone's pretty much together, so that's awesome. I'll get one last screenshot in the last 10 seconds, everybody riding. That's the end of the ride. 122 watts was my average. So we'll have a quick look. 122 divide, oh wait, 1.820. That's pretty good going. We'll stay here and then I'll log off shortly. So we just got to the bottom of the climb, didn't quite make it up to the top. You know what? That's me done. Thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you again.